Hi all, Miss Miller here. All right, I know, we're reading the same story again, but great readers always reread. And I guarantee that you'll get something that you might have missed when we read the story yesterday. So just stick with me. So we're going back to Gilberto and the Wind by Marie Hall Etz. And we're going to talk a lot about the relationship and the friendship between Gilberto and Wind. Did you think about it that way? How Gilberto and the Wind are friends? See, you might have already learned something new. I want you to think about one of your close best friends. And I know we might not have been able to see them recently, but thinking about them definitely helps me feel better. Think about how you know how your friend is feeling. So for me, I know if my friend is smiling or laughing, then that means they're probably happy. But if they're yelling and maybe they have a frown, they're probably feeling upset or maybe even angry. So, how do you know how your friend is feeling? We're going to talk about that in our story today. And thinking about what the character says and does is going to help us figure out some of the character traits. So we have our two characters, Gilberto and the Wind. Which one do you think we're going to focus on today? Check out our thinking job. What character traits describe wind? Did I trick you? Did you think we were talking about Gilberto? We're actually going to focus on the wind today. And again, like I said, to figure out some character traits, we can notice what the character says, what the character does with their body, or a character's facial expressions. Those are some things that we talked about before, so we're bringing it back. Now, let's think. Does the wind have a face? Can we see the wind? Right, we can't. So we can't really use facial expressions in this story to help us know how the character is feeling. But we're going to notice what the character says and what the character does. And even though wind doesn't have a body, there are things that the wind does to impact other things. So pay attention to that, and that's going to help us figure out the character traits. Here we go. Gilberto and the Wind by Marie Hall Etz. I am Gilberto, and this is the story of me and the wind. I hear wind whispering at the door. You, he whispers. You. So I get my balloon and I run out to play. At first, wind is gentle and just floats my balloon around in the air. But then, with a jerk, he grabs it away and carries it up to the top of a tree. Wind, oh wind, I say, blow it back to me, please. But he won't. He just laughs and whispers, You. How does wind act on these pages? Go back to the text to find your answer. Well, at first, we see wind is gentle and just kind of lightly floats the balloon up. But then it gets stronger and he grabs it away. And then my other favorite thing that wind does is when he laughs. Wind loves to play with the wash on the line. He blows the pillow slips into balloons and shakes the shirts and twists the apron strings. And he pulls out all the clothespins that he can. Then he tries on the clothes, though he knows they're too small. How does wind act like a person on these pages? Like usual, go back to the text. Well, first, it said wind loves to play. And I know you all love to play too. What else does wind do to act like a person? Tries on the clothes, right? That's something that a person would do. But the wind is doing it in this story. And wind loves umbrellas. Once, when I took one out in the rain, he tried to take it away from me. And when he couldn't, he broke it. So again here, how does wind act like a person? Well, he tries to take away the umbrella and then he breaks it. I think those were nice things of the wind to do. Not really. Think about that for our character traits. If the gate in the pasture is left unlatched, wind plays with that too. He opens it up, then bangs it shut, making it squeak and cry. Wind, oh wind, I say, and I go and climb on. Give me a ride. But with me on it, the gate is too heavy. Wind can't move it at all. When the grass is tall in the meadow, Wind and I like to race. Wind runs ahead, then comes back and starts over. but he always wins because he just has to run over the top of the grass, and I have to run through it and touch the ground with my feet. I wonder who would win if you had a race with the wind. I'd like to see that. When the big boys on the hill have kites to fly, wind helps them out. Wind carries their kites way up in the sky and all around. But when I have a kite, wind won't fly it at all. He just drops it. Wind, oh wind, I say, I don't like you today. When the apples are ripe in the fall, I run with wind in the pasture and wait under the tree. And wind always blows one down for me. Oh, that was a nice thing for wind to do. And when I have a boat with a paper sail, wind comes and sails it for me, just as he sails big sailboats for sailors on the sea. And when I have a pinwheel, wind comes and plays too. First, I blow it myself to show him how. Then I hold it out or hold it up, and wind blows it for me. And when he blows it, he turns it so fast that it whistles and sings, and all I can see is a blur. Wind likes my soap bubbles best of all. He can't make the bubbles, I have to do that. But he carries them way up into the air for the sun to color. Then he blows some back and makes me laugh when they burst in my eyes or on the back of my hand. How does wind feel on these pages? What do you think? I think happy too, right? And even a little bit playful because there's parts where he carries the bubbles away and then blows them back and makes them kind of pop on Gilberto's eyes or the back of his hand. Now, how does wind make Gilberto feel? I would say happy too for that one. And how do you know? Let's find that text evidence. Yeah, there's that part that says it makes me laugh. And we know when a person is laughing, usually they're feeling happy. When the leaves have fallen off the trees, I like to sweep them into a pile. But then wind comes along, and just to show that he can sweep without a broom, wind scatters the leaves all about again, and he blows the dirt in my face. Sometimes wind is so strong, he starts breaking the trees and knocking down fences. Then I'm afraid. I run in the house and lock the door. And when wind comes howling after me and tries to squeeze in through the keyhole, I tell him no. How does the author make wind like a person on these pages? Well, yeah, it's saying the wind is strong and so strong that it can break the trees and even knock down fences. Wow. But then comes a day when wind is all tired out. Wind, I whisper. Oh, wind, where are you? Shh, answers wind, and he stirs one dry leaf to show where he is. So I lie down beside him, and we both go to sleep under the willow tree. Now, how does the author make wind like a person on this page? Yeah, did you notice that? Wind answers Gilberto's question when he asks, "Where are you?" And then, did you catch this part? It says we both go to sleep. So it means Gilberto and Wind are going to sleep here, which again is something that a person does. I don't know about you, but a nap sounds pretty good right now. But before we do that, it's time to show what you know it's time to. So get your paper and your pencil ready because I have a little quiz for you. I'm going to go through the questions and you're going to write down your answers to each question. You ready? Number 1, here we go. Who is telling the story in Gilberto and the Wind? This is what we talked about yesterday. So hopefully you were here for that lesson. Is it A, wind, B, Gilberto, C, a tree, or D, a voice outside the story? Write down the letter and the answer for the question, who is telling the story in Gilberto and the Wind? Another way to say it is, who is the narrator? All right, on to number 2. What is one way wind acts like a person in the story? Write your answer. We talked about a lot of ways that wind acted like a person. So get that pencil ready. Here's your sentence starter. Wind acts like a person by, maybe write down your favorite way that wind acted like a person. Complete that sentence for number 2. You can always pause this if you need more time to write. And number 3, what character trait does not describe wind? Don't get tricked with this. What character trait does not describe wind? Is it A, playful, B, gentle, C, spoiled, or D, strong? Which of those character traits does not describe the wind? Write the letter and your word for your answer. Got it? Remember, take a picture of your work and send it to your teacher so they can see. And check back in. We'll see you tomorrow to go over the answers. Bye, guys.